Hi, today we're going to talk about 7.3, more on parallelograms. So we're going to start with the silly picture, and the boy is oddly not to scale. So how did they make the dog look so small and the boy so big? Boop. And how about this one? Here we go. The dog's much bigger than the boy now. Now, the way that they did this is the room is not a standard parallelogram shape. And it made the scale off. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to prove if the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So, all of these will be ways to prove the shape is a parallelogram. Okay, so in the first one, theorem 24, the quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its opposite sides and it's just sides are equal. Okay. Now, a lot of people get this one confused with theorem 25. Theorem 25 says the opposite sides and angles of a parallelogram are equal. Now, we're not using theorem 25 or 26. On those, they already tell you that it's a parallelogram. On this one, we are proving the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So we don't know it is in the beginning. Okay, so on this one, if these opposite sides are equal, right away say, boom, yes, it is a parallelogram. Theorem 27 is your justification. For the next one, you can prove it's parallelogram if the opposite angles are equal. Now, if I just give you one set, that's not enough information. I would have to give you the opposite angles are equal, like this. And yes, that would be enough information to prove that it is a parallelogram by theorem 28. Now, I did a weird abbreviation here. I did a parallel sign and then gram. You definitely don't have to do that. So a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if two opposite sides are both parallel and equal. Now, this is a tricky one, okay? So a lot of people goof this one up. Let me get rid of this so I can draw. For this one, it's the same set of sides. Have to be equal, that have to be parallel. Now, over here, I did the top and bottom. I could also do the right and left sides like this. That works. They both are fine. Now, something that does not work, you can't split them apart. That is not the same thing. So make sure you don't ever say that is okay for parallelogram. That is not. So remember, they have to stick together. I always use the scenario is when I let my kids off to the mall, they have to stick together. They're not allowed to separate. So here, they're sticking together. Here, they separated. That's a no-no. For theorem 30, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its diagonals bisect each other. Okay, so let's draw in the diagonals. Oh, that's bad. Let's try again. There. Now, that means those two are going to be equal, and those two are going to be equal. And that's enough information to prove that it's a parallelogram. So I made a little list. Now, there were 4 theorems, but there are 5 ways to prove that's a parallelogram. So let's go through these. Now, the first one says if the opposite sides are parallel. We did mention a theorem like that. So that's actually a definition. It's the definition of a parallelogram. I mean, if you think about it, what is the definition of a parallelogram? It's a quadrilateral whose opposite sides are parallel. So this one is definition of parallelogram. All right, now the next one, opposite sides are equal. We already talked about it. Which theorem is that? That is theorem 27. The opposite angles are equal. And I believe I did these in order. Yes, this is theorem 28. Now these, remember, they have to stick together. This is theorem 29, and the diagonals bisect is theorem 30. So the way this works is I just give you a picture and you tell me whether or not it's a parallelogram. And if it is, you're going to justify it with a theorem number. Okay, and I would highly recommend writing these down. I know a lot of you don't take notes, but I would, write those down or even draw the pictures. The pictures are helpful, like up here. And you can always go back and pause the video if needed. Okay, so grab your theorem sheet or go back to earlier in the notes. What theorem allows you to prove this is a parallelogram if opposite sides are equal? And on your theorem sheet, you might just mark that 27 through 30, those are the ways that you're proving that it's a parallelogram. So start looking at theorem 27, and that actually is the answer, theorem 27. Now, this one, they only tell you these two angles are equal. The theorem, if I read it to you, says for theorem 28, the quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its opposite angles are equal. And we don't know anything about these, do we, guys? So there is not enough information here. So can you prove it? No, I can't. I can't prove it's a parallelogram. Now, this one looks familiar. This one I can identify quickly. They're parallel and equal. They are together, the buddy system here. So this is theorem 29. All right, these lines that go down, again, these are called your diagonals, and they do bisect each other. Okay, so that was theorem 30, I believe. Yes. Now, from B to E, notice on this one, you have these two are equal and these two are equal, and that's exactly what we want. So we want opposite angles are equal, which is theorem 28. And this F, I believe, is the easiest one. We've already talked about it, but this is the one everyone forgets. It's literally the definition of parallelogram. You got it. All right, so that is it for lesson 7.3. So go ahead and do your assignment and your quiz, and you are done. And please, send me any messages if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye-bye.